first heard that story about Lincoln entering the crypt about 20 years before I wrote it, back in the Clinton era, actually. So, and I had no intention of writing it. I thought it's too straight for me. So I was kind of a hobby researcher for all that time. I would just kind of get on a little binge and get 6 or 7 books, you know. So in that sense, 20 years. And then once I really got into writing it, I had these beautiful long days where I'd work 3 or 4 hours on writing in the morning and then just segue into research and read for, 6, 10 hours a night. It was sort of, in some ways, light research. It was just scanning. I kind of knew what I was interested in. So it was very intensive and really enjoyable because the pressure of writing was off. I was just scanning to see if there's anything beautiful, that I could use. So I liked that a lot. And the truthful answer is I don't remember, or kind of gradually and then all at once, But the logic behind it was that I didn't want the book to be a straight historical novel. I tried it, and it just was kind of dead on the page. And I'd go to look at it and just feel like, ugh, I'd rather be doing something else, which is not good. So I kind of was just looking for a way to come at the material that would make it come alive for me every day. And years ago, I had written a novel that I didn't finish that was set in a graveyard in which the ghosts were kind of on a chat line, And I always loved the way that felt. It felt like, you could sort of use your inner playwright a little bit. So I just intuitively turned to that form, and suddenly the whole book came alive, and then it was just on. So in a way, I tell my students, your job is don't stink. That's your job. And all the stuff we talk about, formal innovation and experiments and all that, those are all just ways of saying don't be dull. And so for me, a lot of times when I'm approaching a topic or something, I'll come at it a few different angles. And for me, if it comes alive, if it makes me happy, and if it doesn't stink, then I'm off to the races. Not really. I grew up in Illinois, and he was just sort of the patron saint of the state, and not so much interest. But then I heard the story about him entering his son's crypt, and suddenly I just thought, it made sense in one way, and another way it seemed impossible. And that's a good combination. When something could be, but you can't quite imagine the details, that's a great thing to write about. So really, I just, in a sense, I sort of reluctantly agreed to take him on, because if you're going to tell that story, he's got to be in the book. But up until the last day, I was just kind of, maybe it's like it would be at our dinner party, which is you're sitting there a little in awe, not wanting to mess up in front of President Lincoln. I was like that to the end of the book. I wanted to be respectful to him and to the situation, but at the same time, I wanted to try to, make him an actual character in the book. I came to writing late, and sort of barely, like there are a number of years where I just couldn't get anything to happen. So my credo is don't think about form, don't think about subject, don't even have an ethos really. Just try to make sure that what you're writing comes alive and interest. Interest is too light a word. It has to make me feel kind of like joyful, Then my theory is that the piece has a DNA. And it will tell you, but it doesn't tell you right away. So your job is to work towards beauty and efficiency and power and all that stuff. And then at some point the piece will say, hey, stupid, I'm 20 pages too long, Or in the case of this Lincoln book, I was really trying to get it to be a story, and it kept saying, no, I don't think so. So the key, I think, is to listen to the piece with a kind of quiet confidence that it knows what it wants to be. That way you don't force it, and you don't, stupidly lengthen it or stupidly compress it. You just let it be what it's going to be. You're sort of, it's a bit of a cliche, but you are kind of midwifing it. What kind of baby would you like to be? And it will tell you. I have a little writing shed in our house in the Catskills, and it was literally a shed, a tool shed, and then my wife, finished it for me. So now the joke is I'm the only tool in the tool shed. But that place, I wrote my book 10th of December there, and I wrote this one. So when I go in there, I just returned there for the first time in about 6 months, and sit down, and I can just feel something switch on, some kind of combination of, it's weird, it's like ambition plus relaxation. And time kind of slows down, and I have a little ritual where I work, and then when I need a break, I walk in the house and eat about 11 pretzel rods and then come back out. And so I think ritual, I'm not, I can live without ritual, but it sure is nice when you have one,